Jeremy was our fourth son, and when he was 2.5, he was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor, and we were told at the time of surgery that he would not survive because those kind of tumors didn't survive. He's a miracle. He truly is. Should not be with us, and he's 41 years old now.
Well, first of all, when he had all the radiation when he was young, he had growth problems. Well, then he went on growth hormone, and the only thing that really grew much was his arms and his legs.
He can't easily read at all. He can read words. He took survival reading, but he can't read sentences or books.
Because of all the radiation and so on, his jaw didn't work right. He couldn't open up very far. He had to have major surgery at Mayo Clinic.
This is my surgeon, Dr. Keller. And when I was in 9 I couldn't get my mouth open 9 millimeters. And it took him 1.5 years to figure out I was going to do my job.
We tried not to interpret for him, but sometimes we can't understand exactly what he's saying. So, but we kind of know, because his thought processes are different than normal people's are, and so he has all those issues that he has to put together.
He's been through many surgeries, but has a wonderful outlook on life. Absolutely wonderful.
And if you talk to Jeremy and ask him if he was handicapped, he'd never use the word.
He would tell you that he feels like he's 6'1". I've heard him verbally say that, and he loves to stand and look up at his brothers and talk to them.
And Jeremy comes and does his thing. He gives me smack all the time. I don't know why he thinks he can get away with that with his big brother, literally his older brother and his bigger brother. But he still thinks he can give me smack.
He puts his arms like this and he looks up at him and just takes in every word. Loves his brothers and his brothers love him.
From the moment I first saw him, before I ever dated my husband, Jared, saw him on the basketball court being the ball boy at our college. And I just said, he's got a story. There's something that happened with him, but I just loved his love of life. He's attractive. He attracts people. Now, sometimes people stare at him because he's very unique looking, trying to figure out what's going on, but there's something about Jeremy that is attractive.
And at his job, he works at Kroger, and people like to get in his aisle. He's fast, he smiles.
One of the neighbors stopped in the street and they had a friend with her. And after they said hi to Jeremy and Judy, they're walking around the block. The gal that was riding with our neighbor said, "Hi, Jeremy." And then afterward, they left and so on. She said to her, "Well, how do you know Jeremy?" "Oh," she said, I shop at Kroger on Chenal, and everybody knows Jeremy." And he's distinctive. He stands out, so everybody notices him because of his stature and so forth. But they also notice how hard he works, how he takes ownership in what in the place, and is proud of the store and what they do.
Jeremy likes to collect things. He has a little knife collection, pocket knives and stuff. But he got into the 1/64th size trucks and enjoys them and sees them on the road. He'll tell you, that's a Mack, that's a Peterbilt.
This is probably my first truck.
This is what?
My first truck.
Didn't start out to be a collection, but as he got into it, I don't think he could ever have enough. We tell him he's got limited because he's got limited space.
That was the first thing that he started. Then he started collecting movies, old movies, like musicals.
From John Wayne to Doris Day to Roger Hammerstein's collection.
Yeah.
To Three Stooges. To, what's the name of the Marx Brothers?
When he comes home from work, he'll often go in and sit on his bed and put a movie in, and you'll hear him in there laughing and just enjoying it. That is total enjoyment for him.
He's not a hoarder. He's not a collector that way. He has his tastes. He works. He earns money. Basically, he can do with his money what he wants to do. We try to let him be an adult and do most of his stuff himself.
We were told back in 19 70, when Jeremy was diagnosed, that 85% of the parents will split when going through something traumatic or something with a child.
Usually it's the man who says, I'm out. I've had enough of this. I'm not going to deal with this, be able to deal with this, and leaves. So there's divorce that happens.
I think we had a commitment at time of marriage that no matter what would happen, we'd stick together. And we've always kind of been that way. So it wasn't as hard on our marriage as it was just part of life that happened to us. And we accepted it and dealt with it. And so here we are all these years later, fortunate enough that together we decided that we would raise Jeremy and take care of him.
God called us to this job that we have with Jeremy. He's a special child. Even though he is 41 years old, I still look at him as my kid. He's my son.
We look at it and say, God already knew that in our retirement we were going to have our son with us, and it kind of fills up your day a little bit, where if we didn't have him, life would be different. But we don't at all regret or wish it was different.
And you got to deal with the issues, you got to deal with the suffering, you got to deal with the heartache and everything else. But the wonder is that you can look at it positively and live life in that way. That's what we've tried to do, and it's been, let's put it, it's worked. It's worked, and with Jeremy, it's worked. Yeah.